So what happened? Why aren't we educated in the virtues anymore? Why did they disappear? And what replaced them? Well, the field of psychology, as a separate field of study distinct from philosophy and religion, began only over 100 years ago in 1879, around the time when Sigmund Freud was a doctor. Now, you may have heard the term Sigmund Freud before. He was a prominent figure in psychology. Some would even say the father of modern psychology. And here's his basic theory. His basic theory is that repressed instincts are the cause of all mental illness. That all mental problems have their root in repressed instincts. And that all instincts themselves can be distilled down to the sex instinct. So that's very interesting. Here we have two very distinct models for mental health and wellness. The virtue model and Sigmund Freud's model. The virtues model claims some truths about how to be in the world if you want to be happy. And the virtues model is about honing your instincts so that they fit well with reality. Psychoanalysis, which was Freud's theory, says happiness is about following your instincts, and that all mental disease comes from repressing instincts, regardless of their fit with reality. Well, it shouldn't take you very long to realize that Freud created his model specifically to oppose the virtues. That the virtues were this dominant model for mental health and wellness for thousands of years, and Freud simply said, hey, wait a second, maybe there's another way. And I would say that that's true, that Freud came up with lots of models for self-inquiry, and actually the people who followed Freud, who refined on his theories, and sort of developed new theories on the basis of what Freud started, that those theories have taught people a lot about self-inquiry. And self-inquiry is important. Understanding yourself and understanding your instincts is really vital to health. But as we all know, frequently, our instincts get us into trouble, right? That's true for me, probably true for you in many areas of your life. So it shouldn't take us that long to realize that Freud's new theory isn't the whole answer either, and that perhaps it's just simply unreasonable to throw away thousands of years of history just because we have a new idea, right? Just because Freud has a new idea doesn't mean that the study of the virtues is worthless, that the virtues have no value. In fact, I would ask you the question, what if they're both useful, right? What if there was a tool to help you know when to follow your instincts and when to follow reason? And I would say that at its deepest levels, that's what the study of the virtues is. It's a study of to help you figure out when your instincts are healthy and when perhaps they aren't. So instincts themselves are extremely important and vital to the health of a person. Instincts aren't bad, right? But sometimes they're a little unreliable. And that's what we want to protect ourselves from. We want to have a clear vision of reality and what's going to be effective. And we want our instincts to sort of be in alignment, to help in that guiding process so that we can operate well in the world, right? So that we can be happy and our life is easy for us. Well, let's turn our attention in a slightly different direction. Have you ever seen a therapist? You know, whether you have a specific mental health problem that you're trying to deal with, or you're simply trying to improve yourself as a person, many people go to therapists or counselors for help. Well, something that I've noticed about most therapists and counselors is that all they do is ask questions. Now, I know there are no easy answers in life, right? But but perhaps there's something more than simply asking questions. You know, Freud's model has been updated, improved upon, enhanced, debunked, replaced, and not completely thrown out, but more built upon in modern psychology. And throughout all of this development, therapists still rarely provide any answers. They seem to only provide questions. And most therapists don't even provide any kind of framework for helping you figure out the answers to their questions. Their questions are usually very open-ended. And so people are coming to these therapists and counselors for guidance, but the model itself prevents them from offering that guidance. And if you talk to students in the mental health industry who are studying to become counselors and therapists, they'll tell you that this is what they're actually taught. They're taught not to provide these answers and not to provide even frameworks. Now, the virtues, they don't tell you what to do. That's a popular misconception, right? That the virtues are somehow prissy or restrictive in some way. That's a real popular misconception because the virtues don't tell you what to do, but they do provide a framework for helping you come up with your answers. And I would say that that framework is pretty useful. It helps you figure out why and when your instincts get triggered. It helps your instincts work really well with your brain. And that's really important, right? You want your brain and your instincts to work together. You want your instincts and your whole nature to be one with reality, right? To be, so that it works well with reality. Most important, the virtues can help you keep your heart intact through this whole process, right? Sometimes life feels like a big experiment, but there are lots of choices that we can make along the way that lead to us feeling very bitter or very frustrated or very sad about the reality of our life. And I think the virtues can really help protect you from that kind of bitterness, right? About how your life is going. Another question I like to ask about the psychology industry is, do they really provide a model for improvement? Now, I know that psychologists provide a model to help solve people's problems, but once you feel like you're relatively healthy, what can the psychology industry tell you about happiness and what it really is? Or provide any kind of path to get there, or any kind of framework to help you figure out how you're going to get there? Really, the psychology industry has no clear model for a well-ordered emotional life. And that's what the virtues provide. So the virtues are this great tool for people who want to improve, who want to perfect themselves, who want to be more effective, not just solve their problems, but be excellent. And the original word for virtue, the Greek word for virtue, meant exactly that. The word was called arete. And I'm probably not pronouncing that in a faithful way to people who are native Greek speakers, but the word means excellent. So if you want to improve your life, the virtues are for you.